I mean, what other city in America does everybody have a strong opinion about the grocery store? I love that, you know?
And as much as I acknowledge, yes, on the surface, we are a food retailer, that I always like to think if people knew what the co-op stood for, that we were much more than that. And in many ways, I like to say we're a bit of a front to be able to do good in the community. With regards to that evolution from a traditional to a hybrid model co-op, I think there was a lot of visionary thinking by the city of Burlington to really help prompt the co-op to think about how it can be really more accessible to all.
Spent 17 years trying to get a food supermarket in downtown, and we had requests for proposals, and the co-op responded, and we went through this 3-year process of selecting a supermarket to serve the old North End and downtown.
We were able to pretty much negotiate and ensure that said populations were being represented in the revenue or in the programming and such. And so it's still going on right now. There are programs that exist where a high percentage goes directly as revenue to the Chittenden Emergency Food Shelf, which is now, as you know, feeding Chittenden.
And we wanted to make sure that everyone could shop here, if you're a member or not, and that you would sell 1,000 Vermont products.
And so City Market on the Indian River Co-op was competing with Shaw's. And as a community, we rallied to have City Market.
They organized and they gave voice to why it was important, and they got the City Market.
City Market reflects everything that this community stands for.
We did a research project to look at moving the location to a different location, to a bigger store.
We actually formed a human chain, person to person, to pass food from one building, 2 blocks along the sidewalk, across the road. When the light was red, we'd fill up the street and pass the food across the street.
Like a big chain, a supply chain, a human supply chain.
On the big move day, there was hundreds of members involved we actually literally did a hand-to-hand chain, passing food from one building to the other, a couple blocks away. Of course, we also had trucks for the heavier items, but hundreds and hundreds of members were involved with moving the co-op. It's really a community event, moving the co-op from one building to another.
We were not afraid of a big challenge and worked together to bring about this spectacular community market. And what you see now is just the beginning.
It is a credit to Don Schramm, who we have an award named after, that he continued to provide a leadership to make it happen. So I'm really proud of this community for doing the right thing.
And there was a real sense that the co-op was not going to serve the general community as much as a regular supermarket would. And even within our staff, there was a sentiment that was important to support Shaw's. But the co-op prevailed in that process, and no other, a Shaw's or a commercial supermarket would not have abided by the conditions that the city set.
But the most exciting day was the actual opening day. We had no idea what was going to happen. The staff had been working overtime. There was a lot of excitement, and as I recall, the cash registers crashed right off. They quickly were able to bring them back up, and they were okay. But the place was jammed. Everybody wanted to see what this place was like.
This community, you're starting a place in the Old North End, and how do you make sure? Do people in the neighborhood come in your store, or how can you go about doing that?
Some of the ideas about economics really started early from low-income advocates.
There was a tremendous amount of bravery on the part of city councilors and the mayor of the city at the time, Peter Clavell. Because the community wealth that we create by being a co-op, by keeping the money here, is something that you will never get from a mega corporation. The incorporation of food access, I think, came as a result of a lot of criticism of the co-op. Criticism that the co-op was elite. There was a conscious effort and a willingness on the part of the co-op leadership to take that criticism seriously. And there was also a serious commitment by the city of Burlington, who was an essential partner because of the land development ownership and scheme that was in place.
The fact that Onion River has persisted as a not-for-profit business, I think, is very, very important.
When you think of the co-op, you don't think of time. It's just there, and it becomes a part of the community, it becomes a part of you.
Really, most of the growth of that commitment to the community has happened since we moved into City Market. And it's been the creativity of the general managers and the staff that have found amazing ways to help out the communities.
City Market is being earnest and honest and true to itself. It's representing this community, providing all the populations, all the different cultural diversity, a seat at the table, a place to give voice.
It feels to me like it has always been a grounding place for people to feel connected with their food in a way that they don't in a supermarket. It's not a capitalist system. It's not enriching a group of people who are running it.
I think that, much like any change in a culture, it took a little while for the establishment to accept the fact that a food co-op could actually succeed. But it did get financing. It did raise a lot of money.
City Market's support has been incredible over the years. Personally, I've been at Feeding Chittenden since 2007, and City Market has been a partner with me in my work for every moment of that time. So we've worked together on small grants that help create healthy foods for people. And of course, the Rally for Change and the work at the Register has been just incredible.
City Market is arms wide open. And it doesn't matter at what economic level you are, that you can be a part of that, whether it's a membership, whether you want to volunteer, whether you want to get a job. I am just when I walk into the downtown store especially, it does feel like home.
City Market downtown store is really special. You have all kinds of events happening all year long, right in the heart of Burlington.
People I'd want to thank are Peter Claville, who was the mayor, who agreed to have us lend $2 million to City Market. Senator Patrick Leahy, who's now retiring, he got $650,000 so we could clean up the site.
To the members who've supported the co-op throughout the history of the co-op, supported me individually, the likes of former GMs Clem Nyland and Pat Burns.
It became a model supermarket for the whole country, and it proved that you can provide access to healthy food, you can pay livable wages, you can create a food system that meets the needs of the community.
We're in a pretty strong position. Why not try and make Burlington a city of co-ops?